All right. This is it, guys.
Okay, we are live.
Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, depending on location from where you're logging in. First of all, welcome to the panel on resilient cyber space, the role of hacker and security communities. So we have a wonderful list of panel members, all experienced with a lot of community activities, and their experience they can share with us. Now, security and the community activities goes hand in hand. So communities have spread across the globe, played a very major role in directly or indirectly shaping the cyberspace that we see today. It has helped shaping industry leaders to the development of top-notch tools and technologies. So security activities or communities doesn't need any introduction, especially on platforms like this. But just to set the context, you know. We have been seeing a lot of activities, a lot of vulnerabilities, bugs. So we are going to discuss today about the role of the community and how the security industry is aligning with along with the activities of the community. So let me start the first question with Mr. Dave on the contributions of security community to the industry. What do you think are the major contributions of the security community to the industry? What's your viewpoint on this?
From the industry perspective or the community perspective?
How the industry has benefited from the security community activities. Let's say there is a meetup happening, or there is a open source gathering happening, tools being developed. How the industry picked up, or how the industry benefited from this?
I think the industry has benefited in numerous ways. I mean, obviously, there's the plain and simple one of getting their name out there by sponsoring various events. But the reality here is that it offers organizations around the globe a chance to be able to recruit talent and being able to build out there let's face it, there's no company out there on the face of the planet that has everything they need from a security bench. And being able to have, basically one-stop shopping for them is a real benefit, because they're able to, recruit folks, as well as seeing, what the latest research is. We, like organizations like Omar and I, we both work for Cisco. I mean, we have a huge research team, but we can always learn more. There's always that ability to learn more, and being able to participate, as well as attend these conferences to watch, is a huge benefit for everyone across the board. As well, it also gives a lot of people new into the industry an opportunity to interact with folks they might not otherwise have had a chance to do so. And I mean, I know when I started doing this about 22 years ago, the first time I walked through the lobby at the Alexis Park, I was completely starry-eyed, going, "Oh, what have I got myself into?" And here I am 22 years later, still going at it.
Okay, so just since you mentioned about the years, what is the change that you see when you started, and what is it today? Like, what are the major changes that you see?
The major changes with regards to DEF CON or otherwise?
Otherwise, general security as well as DEFCON also. Your experience from the community perspective, like,
Okay.
for example, do we get more support for newcomers now, or is it still tough? How is it like?
I see it getting a lot better. I mean, 20 years ago, obviously, it was, you had to fight tooth and nail to get, recognized, or, get in front of people. And as communication platforms have built out, and social media, call it the dumpster fire that it is, but it has really added the benefit of being able to interact with folks that, historically I wouldn't have had the chance to meet. Like, Dylan is a great example. I was able to reach out and chat with him when I first started at my last job and say, "Oh, hi, I just want to introduce myself." And he's like, "Oh, you want to come down to Hack in the Box?" I was like, "What?" A couple of weeks later, I was standing there in the lobby. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." So yeah, back in the day, it was a lot harder because, hackers being, who we are, we tend not to be overly, social and gregarious. And it's like, as time has progressed, we've gotten much better at that. And we've learned that it's not about us. The old guard is going to retire at some point, and the real benefit I see is being able to share knowledge and network with folks that are just starting out, because they're the ones that are going to have to pick up this mess and keep going once we're done. And I want nothing more than to be able to have that ability to retire at some point.
Got it. Got it. So let me move to Umar. And from a community perspective, do you think, like Dave said about the benefits that the companies are getting or the organizations are getting, like they get good talent, they know about the researches that is happening, all the positive sides of it. Now, do you think the community is getting enough support from the industry? The reverse angle, like whenever we need any support, do you think we are getting enough support from the industry?
I think so. For the most part, you have the two sides of the coin. The people that truly want to contribute to the community, that they encourage the employees to participate, to present their research, and so on. And then you have the other side of the coin, people trying to sell you something, right? So you have the two benefits in there. Now, whether one motivation is the other one, I'm seeing a significant improvement in the support that many organizations are giving to the community. And I'm not talking about only vendors, but also even governments in some cases, and so on. And they recognize what David mentioned, three things: education, right? So even if you want to have the better, education program within the organization, having the ability for your employees to learn from each other at conferences like this. As a matter of fact, David mentioned, I guess, I'm getting old too, but in the beginning of DEF CON, it was a lot smaller, way smaller, right? I was in the Marine Corps at the time, and one of the best things that I always remember is that be able to walk to anybody. Hey, what are you working on? And I learned more by just one conversation at DEF CON than a year in that DoD place, right? So that's one thing. The second is that the industry is recognizing that, so that's they're fueling the community. Now the community has grown, but even if you think about, even if the security community is kind of fragmented, many different specializations and so on, but it's still very small. It feels small. I still can reach out to Dylan. I can reach out to Jit. I can reach out to Jay fairly easily, right? And that's actually something that the industry. I'm not going to call it just vendors, right? But the whole industry is actually recognized. So I think that we're getting support. We probably need more engagement in the education part and so on. But I think that we're definitely moving in the right direction. And especially now, since it's a hybrid world, right? It's very easy now for many organizations that are even small to be able to participate. Because in the past, if you think about, conferences and community events and so on, depending on where you reside in the world, probably you may have only the opportunity to participate in something local. Now that is somewhat of a hybrid approach, now you're seeing a lot of newcomers, being participant of the community as well.
Got it. So Jay, let me continue the same point. Like from the industry perspective, what are the expectations from the security communities? If we can say, okay, if we do or if we concentrate on certain aspects, then the community will get more support from the industry. So what are the expectations from the security community from the industry perspective?
From what I can see, based on my experience and, of course, helping organizing RootCon in the Philippines, and also attending the conferences in the other side of the world, like DEF CON, NALCON, one of my, it's like my second home of conference, thanks to Asif. It's very good. It's a very good conference for me, best experience, and also other conferences. From that, I think what we can expect from the industry side is that we need more support, especially from conferences that have just sprung up. There are a lot of conferences right now springing up from other countries. In fact, I've attended a very small conference before in Myanmar, and from what I can see there, their community is still growing, and they need more support from their government or private entities from their country. But for countries like India, Malaysia, I know you've got backers from your end already. You've got some good sponsors. From what I can see for the help there, I guess it's more about career management. Maybe those people that are attending want to be hired or want to be recognized as well. So those are just my points.
Got it. Got it. So, Dylan, taking one step further, from your experience, you have been running the conferences for many years.
For too long.
How the security community evolved, and how the pandemic affected the security events, or what do you see the future of the events, and your experience, your thoughts on this?
It's a big one, man.
Yeah. Big question to big man.
But yeah, I mean, how has the community evolved? I would say it's evolved very positively. I mean, like exactly what Dave said and Omar said as well, as in the ability to learn and share from each other. It's gotten easier, right? Because the tools are there in order for you to stay in touch, even though we don't get to meet each other all the time. Especially now with the pandemic, right? We still keep in touch, right? Whatever, following each other on Twitter or on Facebook, that kind of stuff. But also just generally the exchange of ideas has gotten easier, right? It's gotten easier to just be able to reach out and talk to somebody like a tool author, for example. They might have a GitHub, you might follow them on Twitter, and it's easy to get that conversation started. And that has just like been a natural evolution. But in terms of like the industry support, I think there's still a lot more that can be done. As in, sure, of course, you mentioned Myanmar, that there's a security community or conference starting up there. I think Nepal also, there's like a very small conference that's starting up there as well, and it's great to see. But just generally, even for Malaysia, like well, we are a little bit more, I guess, a bit more advanced. Most of our sponsorship support has been coming from North America, right? So really and truly, I think local support is still in its infancy. It is getting better, but still some room to grow there. And then pandemic, I mean, dude, it's changed events in like so many ways I can't even begin to count, right? And I only have like 10 fingers, bro. Like everything has changed, right? Like nothing is the same anymore, right? Nothing at all, right? Like flights are not going to be the same. Like, staying in, I don't know whether the hotel industry is going to collapse, right? That's another whole different thing. But I think we're all ready and waiting to come and like meet back again, right? And it's we're dying to kind of come back and have that social interaction, because you can't virtualize a random meeting. You know what I mean? You can't, like, as you're walking around in DEF CON or in like Hack in the Box or even in Nalcon, you see some cool stuff that somebody's working on, or you go pass by a village and you learn something new. Those kind of like learnings and interactions, or just seeing somebody you haven't seen for a long time, like, hey bro, like long time no see, let's go and hang out and stuff. You can't do that on Zoom. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't work. So I'm just really hopeful that we can get back to some kind of like in-person thing, like sooner rather than later. And I'm hopeful that it will not be the same, but maybe it'll be better, right? Now that it's hybridized, right? Maybe we have the option of like somebody mentioned that getting more of the younger researchers in, giving them that platform to speak, even though they can't fly, right? Maybe they can't travel for whatever reason, cost, time. But now they can still participate, can still share their ideas, get their voice heard, which is important, because ideas come from everywhere, right? It just doesn't come from like the dudes that get to go on stage.
Yes.
That's
So just to add, like if I take the example of last year, like 2020, from the online conference perspective, we have seen so many new conferences. Probably I've come across almost 15 new conferences that started last year, just because everything is digital, and now everybody can run a conference. There is nothing wrong about it. But one of the challenges that we see is, how do we maintain the quality of the conference? So along with the number of conferences increasing, most of you are running CFPs now, call for papers for your own conferences. You might have seen the number of submissions have drastically come down, as well as the quality also is, it's not that rich like how it used to be. This is my personal opinion from what I've seen. Is this, do you agree to it? Have you encountered this? And what's your take on this, Dylan?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that while the volumetric submission numbers haven't really come down, I think we're still getting quite a lot of like submissions, but the quality definitely, and that's goes like without saying. As in, there's only so many times you can present the same thing, right? Like after a while, you'll be like, dude, I got nothing new. And it takes time to research these new subjects, right? It's not like I have like a whole bag of ODAs, and let me just pick some ODAs from here and present it. Some people do, but and then again, it's like, do I really want to spend the time, energy, and effort to put a presentation together? Because it's not that it takes effort, right? Like to do a good presentation, a good demo, test everything. If you're releasing a tool, the documentations to go with it. And then, so what do you hope to gain from it, right? And then we talk about employment and the fact that opportunities are plenty, but so you want to make the best use of it. So if somebody invites you to speak, you don't want to just give a random talk, right? Like you want it to be high quality, and there's only so many places you can submit that presentation to before it looks like you got nothing else to talk about, bro. Like, I mean? Like you're presenting the same thing over and over again. So I think that's just natural, but yeah, it's just how things are, I guess, right? Now there's a conference for everything, which isn't a bad thing in a way. I guess it just means that you just have to look harder, or maybe incentivize the researchers a bit more. And I'm not talking about money incentives, but kind of like help them to improve. Because a lot of times the younger researchers feel like, I'll never be able to speak at Hack in the Box. You know what I mean? I only have some simple thing that it's not interesting enough. And I always say, well, it's not that it has to be so polished and the latest, greatest, and stuff, right? That's nice. That's great. But we also kind of need like something that's rough and polished. And so that the community can maybe kind of give their input to better it and to improve upon it. That's hacking, right? Like taking something and making it better, isn't it? So yeah, we got to give that opportunity at the end of the day.
Got it. So let me move to Asim. Asim, from running one of the most successful conferences in India or in Asia, uh, from a post-pandemic perspective, how do you ensure the ROI for your supporters or the sponsors, basically? Or what are the challenges that you have faced in the last 1.5 years after the lockdown started? Like, how do you ensure your sponsors are happy, they have the return on investment or whatever you want to call it, and you maintain the quality also at the same time?
All right. So if anybody has answer to that, please tell me, because I really want to keep our sponsors happy and give them, a good ROI. Uh, I mean, definitely this has impacted conferences a lot. I'm sure everyone would agree. I can see Dylan smiling. The only thing that you can do from your side is to, keep uh, the quality of the talks and the training, because that is up to you. Right? Maintain that. So other than that, I think there are certain things that you can do to generate revenue. But then, for example, for us and for most of the conferences, like even Hack in the Box, even RootCon, which are most of them are vendor neutral, right? So you can't basically go ahead and sell yourself and let the vendors come in and do talks at the platform. It's basically up to you. So what we are trying to do is just trying to hold and pray that once the lockdown opens, as in people can start coming for the conferences, at least we can start with the hybrid one. And over time we have already seen, I think when the pandemic almost hit everywhere, I think ours was almost the last physical conference in March, and then immediately after that there was lockdown. So we did virtual conferences after a couple of months, hardware US. There was a very good response, but over time I think we're seeing that the quality of submissions, as Dylan also mentioned, and the participation. I mean, you can't sit in your shorts for 4 hours and attend a conference, and go to another screen which says meeting room, and you just see chairs, right? And you click and you try to chat with the person. It's just practically impossible. You can do it for a year, but I don't think it's possible, throughout your lifetime. So I mean, people are also, I think, tired of all this, the online, especially. I think now you see webinars every other day, and as you rightly said, we've seen a growth in terms of conferences. A, because I think it's become easy to organize. There are no logistics at all. You just need a software and speakers and a registration page to host a conference. But then the challenges are different now. People are getting tired, and so yeah, I mean, all we can do is pray, and you know, just pray for a hybrid, at least a hybrid conference, where we can at least go and meet the speakers and meet the attendees.
Yes, so like your office is always on Zoom meetings, and then your family meeting is also in Zoom, and then on top of it, we have either Nalcon or HITV or any other conference happening in Zoom or similar platform. So as Hasim said, sitting continuously for 4 hours, it's practically not possible or feasible, because regular conferences we move out, we go for tea, or we mingle around, we go to the exhibitors booth, and we have a lot of activities. So these are some of the challenges. Now let me quickly get into the next part of the questions or the points. So if you have seen the title of the panel, we have used the word hacker, and then we have also used the word security. So this is probably a question to all. I would like to have a bite from all of you. Like the term hacker, how confidently we can say we are from the hacker community, or do you prefer to say we are from the security community? What's your take on this? Like the point I'm trying to say is, some people prefer not to use the word hacker still, because probably you will not get sponsorship, or probably the media is going to highlight you in the negative angle. So what's your take? I would like to have your take from all of you. I'll start with Omar first, and then Dave.
I think that the industry, and I guess from vendors to governments, etc., that has criticized the word hacker, they're learning their lesson, right? um, there are companies right now that their main title is hacker. It starts with hacker. I'm not going to mention the names of the companies, right? So if you look at 5 years, 10 years, ago, you don't want to have the word hacker associated even with the name of the company, right? Now that's different, and there's a community out there. As a matter of fact, it started in the US, but it's now a global community called Hacking is Not a Crime, which is actually educating people that the word hacker, is not the malicious thing, right? There are malicious hackers, and as a matter of fact, in DEF CON, in the FAQ, if you read that, one of the questions that we get all the time, and they can also mention, are criminals going to DEF CON? And then our response is, yeah, there are criminals in the government, there are criminals in companies, there are criminals next to you and your neighbors, right? So the word hacker is not truly associated, historical has been associated with malicious activities, malicious threat actors. But I think that the industry is recognizing that it's just a curious mindset. Like Jason Street, right? He does this all the time. That before I think that his words were, before they used to call us artists and creators, and now they call it hackers. But at the same time, is the having that hacker mentality or mindset is a curious mindset. Is actually looking into how something should work and should not work, right? And how can I break something? And the only way to educate people is actually by demonstrating, how a true threat actor, not a hacker, right, but a true threat actor can do that. So I'm a big advocate for the word hacker out there, right? And even kids nowadays, and luckily, right, they have a lot of more resources than whenever we grew up. they're learning already that this is not just a malicious thing, right? Hacking is not a crime itself, no pun intended.
Got it. Got it. Dave, your point of view and your experience when you say you represent a hacking community or a hacking conference, what's your experience?
I very much the same as Omar. I mean, this is something that I have seen historically has been, the media took the term and vilified it. And the reality is we need to take our name back because that's us. That's our community. And it is agree with Omar completely. It's about an innate sense of curiosity. We take things apart to see how they work and put them back together in a better way than they were before. And I mean, there have been organizations that have contributed to this in the past. ISC Squared, I served on the board of directors there, and we changed the language in their documentation to make it a criminal hacker as opposed to a hacker, because it was sending out a very wrong vibe to the wider audience. So anytime I give a talk, in the past when I'd be traveling around the world, I would make sure very clearly at the beginning, I say, I am a hacker. I said, this is our word. If I'm talking about something with criminal intent, it's an attacker. And because that's showing, the purpose behind it. And I honestly think we have to keep fighting to get this back, because here in Canada, if I say I'm a hacker, nobody really blinks. If I'm visiting my in-laws in Manila, they'd go, wait, what? You're a what? And they've gotten better over the years, thankfully. But I mean, it's amazing how when you go to different parts of the world, you'll get a different response. So I think it's incumbent upon us as a wider community to make sure that we take that name back. Because I'm tired of being looked at in the lens of a criminal, because I've got a mortgage, I got kids, I got no interest in going to jail.
Got it. Got it. Dylan, probably you are the only person in this crowd running the conference with the word hack in the title. So probably we all would like to know the origin of the conference name, as well as your first experiences when you introduced the hack conference to the sponsors or to your supporters or to your circle. Your experience, probably one or two incidents you can share, and also the evolution.
Well, mainly because I'm so old, right? So for me, the original meaning of the word hacker has always had a positive connotation. It's only because the media has come around and vilified it, right? As
True.
like David pointed out, right? That it became quote unquote a bad word, But essentially, to me, it never was. And so when we called it hang in the box, it was mainly that, the hack within a computer that you own in the box, right? As in a machine that you own, not somebody else's computer, which used to be the case, as in you break into random stuff and hey, look what I pop some box somewhere, right? But yeah, I mean, we had our fair share of problems in the past, as in, especially in the early days, right? Like, you run a conference for hackers, so you teach people how to hack, how to do bad things, right? And we're like, no, actually, the word you're looking for is criminal, actually, right? Like, so it's that misunderstanding. So it really depends on who you're talking to. As Dave pointed out, right, in Canada, North America, you say you're a hacker, it's cool. You know what I mean? It's like people understand that you're somebody who improves something, not breaks stuff, right? You're not like a bad person, not necessarily anyway. And then it's a little bit different in Asia, right? Like where there's this perception and it's perpetuated by the media. Like every time there's a computer crime case, it's like hackers broke into the bank, right? Like it's never criminals or whatever, or cyber criminals. It's like it, because headlines like that don't sound as sexy, right? Like everybody wants to make it sound more cool, and newspapers are in the business of selling you stories, right? They want you to click those articles, so of course they want to make the best use of the words that cause a reaction from their readers, right? So yeah, it's our job to kind of take it back and to educate people and just make them understand that the word you're looking for is actually criminal, or threat actor, or whatever you want to insert there, but it's not hacker.
Got it. So, Jay, moving on to Jay. Many juniors, they try to join the communities thinking that they can do hacking and, break into systems and, probably steal passwords or at least bring down some servers. So what's your experience, because you have been associated with the conference in Philippines, and I'm sure a lot of people come to attend the conference or get in touch with you to be part of the community. And how do you balance it? Like, what's your experience being associated with a hacker conference?
So to tell you the truth, I was investigated by the National Bureau of Investigation from the Philippines because of that, but I didn't go to jail because I know I'm innocent. I didn't do wrong. I'm just doing my job, and you know, it's in fact, it's not only me. It's also some of our conference organizers as well, like the founder. Some of the we are tagged, that we might be recruiting underground hackers, but from time to time, we we invite media persons or media to explain our side. We've been featured like 2 times, like to know that we are not the bad guys, we are the good guys, so something like that. And then we really got some underage participants participating as well in our conference, and sometimes they bring their parents as well. So from what I can see, I always advise them that you don't need to worry about your son or your daughter in this conference. We will not serve them alcohol because our conference is really notorious in serving alcohols to audiences. We are an organized conference here, or organized chaos in the conference here. So we really serve alcohol even in the morning. So that's why we make sure that these this young people are not served with alcohol. But if they want to be served with alcohol, we we want to maintain the balance for that. Yeah, but it's all about mentorship. There are a lot of people here right now, unlike before when I started with RootCon as a volunteer. It was different, really. 10 years ago, I was a college student as a volunteer for RootCon, and things were different during that time. There were not much um, kids or college students attending RootCon because most were professionals, security geeks. But there were hackers. There were really hackers that I've met. It's just different from this day right now. So there's a balance. At least from what I know, some people, young people right now, understand the meaning of a black hat hacker, a white hat hacker, or a gray hat hacker. That's I think they added that to the curriculum for their computer science subject. So that's why they're kind of they know the difference right now, unlike before. And also from what I can see, really, from based on the participants that we have right now, we have a balance of kids or students, and also hackers, and also C-suite people. So yeah, it's a balance right now.
Okay, great. Moving to Asim, one of the best T-shirts that Indian conferences released is from Nalcon, I would say. A very simple black T-shirt with the word hacker written in the Indian language, Hindi language. Okay, and it's very famous. You might see in social media a lot of people wearing it. Uh, Asim, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Nalcon introduced that T-shirt, right? Right. So,
Yes, yes.
what's your take on the same question? Do you prefer to say you are a security community or a hacker community, or is it a tricky question again?
Okay. So, I mean, most of the points have already been covered. I agree with all of the points that Omar, Dave, Dylan, Jay mentioned. If you really look at, the word itself, it is security. Basically, is just a subset of, the word hacking itself. Hacking is not just limited to security; it can be anything. And I mean, you would know better than even us. You've been organizing a conference with the state police of Kerala. So I'm pretty sure you would have much more difficult time than us representing the conference within the.
You're not supposed to ask me questions.
Yeah. But yeah, but I think in India as well. I think when we started, like around 2008 or so, it was pretty much the same thing. People just, you know, companies wouldn't talk to us because we were the hacker community, right? But I think we've evolved. It's pretty much a known fact within the Indian security industry as well. That, there are hackers. You need to let them do what they do. Not everyone is bad, and given the fact that there is a shortage of cybersecurity professionals, I think they have come to appreciate the skill set that people have. I mean, the word is just a tag, right? It's more of how what you do and how you do it.
Got it. Got it.
So,
Just a question. Anybody knows the origin of the word hacker? From which language it is? Just a question. German language.
okay.
Okay. So Abhi, let's move to Abhi. What's your experience? How you how do you look at the word hacker, or the community activities and the hacking word? How do you see it, or what's your experience?
So I would say when I started, it was just hacker, right? I didn't even know that I could be a security guy in the future. That was only hacking. So later, when I learned more, I got to know that there are different terms or different subsets of hacking, and security could be one of them, right? So to become a security guy, you need to be better at hacking. So you need to have, just like Omar mentioned, you need to be curious about things, right? So that you could be more into the security aspect of things. So that is on thing. On the other hand, so I am coming from the deep south of India, right? So for us, it is not we cannot afford, or it is not possible for us to get into big security conferences or something. So for me personally, the conferences, I mean the home conferences, the conferences around my place, right? I would say Kokon, then later it became Narcon, right? So when I started, I still remember the day I got into Kokon. One of my friend named Blesson, he introduced me to Manusar, and he mentioned, yeah, it is fine that you're coming to these conferences, but you will have to contribute. So in return, you will have to contribute someday, right? So I started from there. Basically, it's been years. I don't even remember Manusar remembers that, but it's been years. I started from that. So later, Cocoon is a big thing for us. That is the one day we could see all of the friends around in, Kerala, maybe North India. I met Asim in Cocoon, many other great people, right? So for us, for me
I come
personally,
there for
that
food.
was the beginning. Yeah, Asim was saying something.
I said the reason for me to come there is only food.
Okay, so that's the reason. I would say maybe if I am organizing a virtual village at DefCon, right? So if I hadn't went for that conference in Kokon, then maybe I would be doing maybe a security job, maybe some development job, maybe as a system administrator or engineer. I'm pretty sure that I will be a hacker for sure, but I'm pretty confident that I would not become a security guy or a security security engineer. So that is my take on this.
Got it. So just to add to what Abhi said, personally, I've been involved in, I won't say full-time mentoring, but we have helped so many people, providing platforms for delivering talks as well as support for research and all those things. So one last round of question to all of you. What is your one piece advice to security researchers who are new to this domain or to the community? What are probably one or two key learning points or advice for them from your perspective? Omar, I would like to start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is, I think, the same theme that we're just talking about, hacker, right? Don't be intimidated because of this, right? A lot of people that are newcomers, yes, we have changed, and a lot of people know that the word hacker is not, or a hacking conference is not not a bad thing, but don't be intimidated, right? By it, participate, ask questions, be curious. That's all about the hacking mindset, right? Just be curious and learn every day. But at the same pace yourself, right? You cannot learn everything at the same time, and a lot of people that actually get now into the community because security is so big, right? And we have so many specializations, so many things going on. Definitely pace yourself. Participate in CTFs. That's one of the number one things that you're gonna learn a lot, a lot is by practice. So go watch the presentations, and then right after that, use the tools, use the methodology, concentrate in the methodology, and then network with people. Right. That's how you, as I mentioned before, just by one conversation. In some cases, I actually learn more than what I, in a whole. I try to learn, in a year. So definitely don't be intimidated. Participate and contribute. Yeah.
Great, great. Dave, your take on this?
There we go. Found the button. You know what? I agree with Omar on the be curious point. This is the whole idea. I mean, the vast majority of folks in the hacking community are nonlinear thinkers, and they approach problems in ways that most people wouldn't. And that is a very good thing. And I mean, never be afraid to ask questions. If somebody is going to do the whole "don't you know who I think I am" thing, they're not worth your time. There are plenty of us that'd be more than happy to have a conversation. I know most of the folks on this panel have been in the same situation where they've been either asking the questions or people asking them the questions. And you know what? We grow as a community when we work together. And making yourself believing your own press, I guess, is never a good thing. And when you're getting into hacking, the one thing that I wish somebody told me when I started is have permission before you try to break things. If you are doing silly things like going after servers because you thought, oh, I found this database that was exposed on the internet, don't do it. Don't do it. Because I've seen people get into trouble with the law for something as simple as iterating through directories that were exposed to the internet. There was a Canadian here. He actually got arrested for literally looking at directories that were open. So it's one of those things where it's like, yes, it was open, but on the same token, all of your information is ending up in log files somewhere, and you want to make sure that you are learning the stuff the right way. When you look at all the different cloud platforms that are out there and how you can get your hands on old hardware and set up your own lab at home, there are many different ways to learn the technology, to learn the skills that will not involve you getting an invitation from the local constabulary.
Okay, Dylan, your advice?
Yeah, definitely play more CTFs. I would say that's one of the easiest and bestest way to learn. So read white papers, that's definite. Go for conferences, read, download the tools, play with it. That's all great. Setting up your own lab, yeah, of course, that requires some amount of cash. But playing CTFs, there are so many different CTFs going on at any one time, and most of them are free. If not, I think almost all of them are free actually. And there are lots of challenges, and people have already solved them. So kind of like you can try it, and then you can't figure it out. There's probably somebody who's written a solution, and don't just read the solution, but do a little bit until the part that you got stuck, right? Like, so just gain the tips from the solution. Don't take it as like, I got the answer, so I don't need to do the challenge anymore. That's not learning, right? That's just like answering a test, right? That's the boring shit. And yeah, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You know what I mean? Like, you all have to start somewhere, and we were not all born experts. So and last but not least, I would say, like, actually investing in training is not a bad idea. You know what I mean? Like, Omar was saying that he learned a lot from just having a conversation or by meeting somebody and just having a 1 hour. So just imagine what a 2 day solid 8 hours or 4 hours, whatever it might be, with a subject matter expert that has put in those 10,000 hours figuring out those problems, right? Those same bugs that you have probably come across, or those same stumbling points of learning, they probably have come across that as well, and they can just tell you exactly what you need to do in order to overcome that shortcoming that you find, and then it just moves your learning much faster, right? So I know trainings are expensive, and so you can always YouTube is a great resource, so you can start with that. But there will be a point where you'll find that you've learned what you can, and it doesn't beat actually getting some kind of like professional help, I guess, if you want to call it that. But yeah, that's fine. That would be my advice for any guys up and coming. Manu, you're muted, bro.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. So before I move to Jay, I think one of the major contribution from the community to the industry is the CTF platform, because most of the hiring nowadays, the first round is CTF, which I think it's a big contribution from the community, because almost all the interviews I see, either before the face to face or after that, there is always a CTF, and they check how you, even though you don't clear it, they look at how you approach the problem. So the first 2 points that we discussed, I think one answer to that is the CTF challenges that the community introduced, I think. So moving to Jay, your piece of advice to beginners who are planning to get into security.
Same with Dylan, Omar, and Dave. You know, you need to network with people, and also play with CTFs. Those are actually good platforms. Unlike before, you need to be in the conference to play CTF. But right now, over the years, it evolved. There are already hybrid CTFs that you can play, and CTFs are free to play right now. Most of the CTFs. For DEFCON CTF, you need to qualify for it. But there are some CTFs right now which are designed for beginners. And then there's VulnHub already, Try Hack Me to play with, and then YouTube has a good resources for hacking and playing with those CTFs. So I guess that's the best way. And then if you are in a conference, don't get intimidated, as what um, you know one of my panel members said. Uh, Please network with them. Also, don't get too drunk during the conference. Yeah, don't get too drunk. uh, on the last day, you can do that, but no, on the
There is always a next beer bottle, right?
yeah, don't get too drunk. I've seen a lot of college students getting drunk in our conference. So yeah, that's my advice. Don't get too drunk early. Aside from all the learnings that you could learn from the conference.
Okay, great, thank you. One of the most commonly asked question to Asim is, how can I hack Facebook, or how can I hack Gmail? So Asim, your take.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, uh, few things. I think one thing that I advise to anyone who pings me on LinkedIn or wherever is to focus on the interest area. You need to narrow down your interest area. A lot of people are confused in terms of they are interested in security, but they don't know what to do. So what I advise them is to try out everything for a short duration of time, till the time they find something that is really interesting to them. It could be web security, it could be cloud, it could be reverse engineering, it could be mobile, it could be anything. Right? So until you try it out, you won't come to know what is of interest to you. The other aspect is do your research and then ask questions when you're stuck. Don't do it the other way around. Ask questions on what to research. I think a lot of people try to offload their work to the experts. I think that's why probably they do not get the answers that they're looking for. So don't do that. First do your own research. If you are really stuck somewhere, then go ahead and ask questions, and follow people who work in the same technology, right? And use social media for learning perspective. Learning as in what is your interest, not things like, hey, look, I'm at DEF CON, how cool do I look, right? Stay away from those people. And the final is, don't get intimidated. I mean, there are people uh, who will hate you no matter what. So don't try to please anyone. The objective is learn as much as you can. The objective is not to please someone, right? I still remember, I think when I came up with the Diva Android app, I published it in one of very famous Google Plus group at that time for Android security. And there were these couple of folks who were hell bent on telling me that there was a malware in the app that I had released. So no matter what I say, I mean, somebody who whose objective is to downplay someone, they will always focus on that. So you have to focus on your learning. Don't get intimidated by those people. I think that's about it. What I tell to anyone who approaches me for what do I do in security.
Great, great, great. Abhi, you have a wonderful team managing the village, and so that means there is a lot of mentorship happening. You mold them, you show them the direction, you motivate them. What's your take for the freshers who want to join or do activities like your village or other activities that we see around?
Definitely CTFs, because you get to learn. I mean, the best teacher which you could have, that is yourself, right? So you could learn a lot of things. So always try to do CTFs. Always learn to. I mean, just imagine, if you are doing web application security testing, that doesn't mean that you are not allowed to learn assembly, right? So just try to learn anything which comes in your way. So that is a very first thing. I mean, CTFs help you in a way that you could do it your own, right? And second thing, conferences, right? So many conferences are expensive. I know they are paid, but still a lot of conferences are offering student passes to the new guys, right? Maybe for free or discounted prices. Always try to get into conferences and try to network with people who are having the same mindset, right? And never get intimidated. I think in conferences, I know it is always friendly, right? For example, let's say if I'm coming from the deep south of India, and Omar is coming from Texas. If I am able to talk to him easily or freely, that means we are not getting intimidated, right? So that is the power of security communities. It makes people communicate. It makes people open up, right? So that's the only way we could learn a lot of things and pass it to someone. If my point is, when I started, very in the very beginning, there are a couple of people who had some kind of experience. So when I used to ask them questions, they were kind of they were not happy about it, right? They were not willing to answer in the beginning, right? But never be that guy. Then later I met a lot of awesome people in conferences. They are willing to do anything. They are willing to spend hours and hours to help you, right? So that part, you will get only that kind of behavior from security communities, or security folks around the globe, right? So I would say that is one best way to start, and always try to learn something which comes in your way. Don't think that I am doing web application security testing, I don't need to learn red teaming, or I don't need to learn active directory. Don't think like that. Always try to, and always invest in yourself. Like I mentioned, trainings are expensive, but most of the organizations are paying for training for the employees, right? So make use of that. When you get hired in a company, also ask them whether they have a training program for the employees. I mean, most of the people, they don't do that, right? So I just ask them, just ask the HR whether do you have any training program for the employees. I can get certified, or I could attend a training and it will get reimbursed or not. That's one thing. And one good thing about the CTF, they always help you get free course vouchers and passes for conferences. So again, CTFs are on hell of a way to learn and network and uh, empower yourself. So that would be my take on this.
Great, great. So just to share my 2 points that I always give. One is I give out the word RTFM. I'm sure all of you know it. That's the first piece of advice that I always give. And the second is a link, which I'm sure all of you are aware, from catb.org, how to ask smart questions. So these are my first two advice, which I generally give it out to people who approach me. Just thought of sharing with you. So that's it. From probably one of the first starting point for me was from the mailing list, as well as Yahoo Groups was very famous that time, and then the IRC. So now we see from IRC to Discord, a lot of things happen. Just wondering how many of you logged into IRC in the last 2 months, still using? How is it like? Anybody using IRC still, or active, pretty much active there?
Not in 2 months.
Not in too much.
Isn't Discord just the new IRC, right?
Yeah,
Yes, correct, correct.
Right. I mean, it's
Yes,
exactly literally the same damn thing, man.
the
Like
same.
it's exactly
Yeah,
so.
exactly
Yeah.
the same.
So
So
I
use
was recently thinking about that only. Discord, like everybody's going, getting into Discord. So yes, we used to have IRC. It's still there. We still sometimes log in to maintain the ID and all those things. So it's a long journey. We learned a lot of things. The communities helped us grow. We learned so many things. We got involved with so many things. And as Dave and Omar said, new faces has to come. They have to take over. So we have to show them the direction. So platforms like this definitely help all of us grow. So with that, I would like to conclude. If you want to add any point, feel free to add. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Omar, Dave, Jay, Dylan, Asim, and Abhi. Special thanks to Jay and Dylan, because I think it's 2 or 3 a.m. now in your local place. So special thanks to you guys, and it was wonderful interacting with all of you. Thank you so much for your valuable time as well as your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
thank
much.
you, Matthew.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Thank you,
Take
everyone.
care, guys. Stay
Thank
safe.
you,
See you guys
guys.
Be
soon.
well.
Stay safe. Bye bye.
And one more thing to add. If
Yes.
you would like to, Q&A, we have a voice channel in the DEF CON official Discord server, ADV voice. Maybe if you have a few minutes to spare, maybe we could join there. That would be awesome.
Cool. See you guys
Okay.
on the
Great. Sure.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
IRC.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye.